Psychosis, paranoia, delusions. These are just some of the side effects of marijuana. Still, more and more states are legalizing it. And now doctors, parents, and former addicts are pushing back. CBN medical reporter Lorie Johnson has the story.
Johnny Stack grew up as a smart, happy boy in a Christian home. At age 14, however, marijuana use changed his life forever, leading to ultimate tragedy.
He took his own life when he was 19 years old, 5 years later, after he became psychotic, very delusional and paranoid and suspicious from using the marijuana.
His mother, Laura, didn't realize today's marijuana contains at least 10 times the psychoactive compound THC than it did 20 years ago.
In my head, I said, it's just weed. I used it when I was a girl. I'm fine. It's no big deal. And I was so wrong.
Indeed, no matter whether you call it weed, pot, or cannabis, today's marijuana products are a very big deal.
And the higher the dose of THC, for example, the higher the likelihood that you will end up with a psychotic episode. And that will lead you to end up in the emergency room department.
Zach Plant's addiction could have killed him.
I had, thoughts of other people wanting to hurt me, thoughts of the only way of, being safe was to end my own life.
Doctors diagnosed Zach with cannabis-induced psychosis due to symptoms including losing touch with reality, hallucinations, delusions, and paranoia. Doctors gave him a stark warning.
If you smoke marijuana again, there's a chance that you don't come out of psychosis. You go back into it, and your brain may never recover.
Studies show a steep rise in ER visits, especially where marijuana products are more available.
As it became legal, definitely saw more delirium, hallucinations, paranoia as being side effects of this, and then even just normal depression, anxiety.
High THC levels can also cause severe vomiting, heart and lung complications, sexual dysfunction, and stomach paralysis.
They would come in and have long bouts of being unable to eat. This would last for 3 or 4 days, and it was well known that it was due to marijuana.
Despite the risks, more states continue to legalize. South Carolina, one of only 4 states where marijuana is still fully banned, is considering legalizing medical use.
I really don't like it. It's a way to simply legalize marijuana outright. It's been camel's nose under the tent for years. We've seen this in multiple states.
In Virginia, lawmakers voted to make it the first southern state to okay recreational sales of marijuana. The bill's sponsor, State Senator Aaron Rouse, tells CBN News it will give opportunities for Virginians to earn a living, start a business, and create true generational wealth. The measure is now in the hands of Governor Glenn Youngkin, who signaled he might veto the measure, saying, "You want to talk about putting a cannabis shop on every corner? I don't quite get it."
It's causing psychosis, schizophrenia, mental health problems. I can't imagine he's not going to veto it.
There's also growing concern over another substance known as Delta-8. Unlike marijuana, Delta-8 comes from hemp, but it can also contain very high levels of THC. Believe it or not, you can often buy Delta-8 at convenience stores and gas stations, even in states where commercial sales of marijuana are illegal. That's because the 2018 Farm Bill legalized hemp nationwide.
It was like 1 or 2 hits of the pen and I would instantly be high.
Nick Sauber discovered he could vape it anywhere because it was odorless and easy to hide.
I could do it in class, I could do it in the bathroom.
Then, much like Johnny and Zach, Nick became addicted and considered ending his life.
In my mind, I was trapped in this delusion of, I have to commit suicide because my parents are going to find out.
After leading an anti-drug coalition for 15 years, Julie Killian found herself totally surprised about Delta-8.
I was at a truck, one of those food trucks, and they were selling coffee in the morning, and you could get a shot of Delta-8 THC in your coffee.
Now she's part of a major push to get rid of it.
We're trying to work on the Hill with federal legislators about changing the definition of hemp in the Farm Bill so that that will then be illegal.
Some lawmakers consider Delta-8 such an emergency that they're calling for it to be immediately outlawed.
You do have some states like Wyoming, Florida, and some others that are working to ban them on the statewide level. They're not waiting for Congress to intervene.
Meanwhile, parents struggle to protect their children from these dangerous and readily available substances.
Ultimately, God's word says that we are to be sober-minded. We are to be on the lookout for the devil prowls like a roaring lion, waiting for someone to devour. And marijuana is one way to just sort of numb our children's brains. One other way that Satan is using to get kids to walk away from the faith.
Talk to your kids. It may not seem like they're listening, but I always feel like, they're going to be, you're going to be in the back of their head and they're going to hear you. So don't ever give up on talking to your kids.
Lorie Johnson, CBN News.
We just celebrated Robert Downey Jr. winning an Oscar, and you look back in his life, and what an amazing story of victory over addiction. And he overcame it. You don't want your children having to go through that struggle, because be assured, not everybody is going to make it out. There is a pathway here to addiction, to psychosis, to suicide, to death from overdose. All of these pathways are created by an urge to get high. Now, let me quote a member of the Beatles, Paul McCartney. It was back in the 1970s. Now, he had been, I guess, a poster child for the 60s revolution, where we all thought, okay, we're going to expand our consciousness and all of this kind of thing. He underlined in a song called Medicine Jar that there's a reason you call it dope. It makes you dopey, and the biggest thing it does, it robs you of ambition. It will absolutely lower your grades. It will absolutely inhibit you advancing in our society, our information culture today, because you just can't remember things. But in his song, Medicine Jar, he said, get on your feet, get up, get on your feet. You won't get far if you keep on putting your hand in the medicine jar. Why do we have politicians somehow thinking that you can have generational wealth from selling marijuana and cursing a whole generation to stupor? It doesn't make any sense. I grew up in Virginia. We had generational wealth created by tobacco. What did that do? It led to cancer spreading all around the world. And we finally woke up to it and said, no, we shouldn't allow smoking in public. We should absolutely restrict it. There shouldn't be commercials on TV. It shouldn't be glorified. You shouldn't see movie stars smoking cigarettes. We had to have a complete reversal of our culture to overcome the poison of nicotine and tobacco. Let's not repeat the same mistake with marijuana. It makes no sense. We already see the danger. We already see what's happening. Now, the good news, I think San Francisco is waking up that you can't have these liberal drug laws and expect your city to survive. Portland, Oregon is waking up. You can't have this. What it means is an epidemic of overdoses. We have to have laws that restrict it so that we can protect our children, we can protect our neighborhoods. In Seattle, they call all the drug addicts, they call them zombies, because they can't hold a job, they can't do anything. Let us wake up to it. Let's not have a lost generation and say, no, this shouldn't happen on our watch.